Hi, I'm Dr. Tyra Seldon, and welcome back to The Write On Show, where we talk about your perspectives on writing, culture, and literature. I'm so pleased today to have Jason Miller as my guest. Welcome to the show, Mr. Miller.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I have wanted to talk to you today because a few months ago I read your book, The People Reader, and I was so incredibly impressed by the way in which you were able to take a very complex topic and make it accessible for your readers. But before we take a deeper dive into talking about the book, tell us a little bit about yourself as a writer, and be sure to share with our readers some of the other texts that you've written.
I'm an author of 4 books, working on my 5th book right now. It's going to be kind of like a segue into communication, the spiritual component of communication. My first book, Lover or Loser, I'm in my early 20s. I'm a former basketball player. All my eggs in sports. That's where I think I'm going. Didn't work out. Everybody's coming to me for advice.
Okay.
Because if you're successful in one conversation, somebody's probably going to come back for 2.
Sure.
Maybe 3. So it got to the point where I kept repeating myself, and I said, well, let me make a manuscript.
Okay.
So I came up with a manuscript, and this is a part of the manuscript.
Okay.
So where I would just pass it out to all my friends or the people that were asking me. So I wouldn't have to repeat myself. And it got a hold of it was a local, Indianapolis, a local television personality. Okay. I'm not going to say his name because he owed me money.
Okay.
He'll like that too.
Okay.
Emmy Award winning.
Okay.
Television personality, big time. He was like, dude, you need to write a book.
Okay.
I'm like, I'm a basketball player. I ain't even like going to class. I'm not writing no book.
All right.
So he let another author read it that made a lot of money writing books, to where I was like, I would listen to him a little bit better. Okay. He was like, dude, you should write a book. And I'm like, okay. And then he said he let 2 critics read it. Okay. I guess they were television critics, but he let 2 critics read it. Okay. They loved it, and that's when I did it. Okay. I was like, okay, these people get paid to hate for a living, and they loved it. I'm gonna give it a try. Okay. So, wrote my first book. Sold like 500 copies like that. But I was throwing events. I was already out in the community. Even though I knew I was an author, I was like blaming it on, well, I know a lot of people. I went to a big high school. That sold really, really fast. Okay. So to make a long story short, I sold about 11,000 copies. Because I was on that outside of the trunk mentality, I'll pull up anywhere, sell the book type mentality. That hustle, that first time hustle. That you wish you could keep all the time, but it's like, this is my first book, I really wanted to get out there. So sold that, got onto the radio, talking to 1.5 million people, and I'm still not knowing what I'm doing. I'm like, yeah, I'm in awe of the people that are like, man, I want to write a book and I want to do all this, because I was writing it at a time where a lot of my friends were partying, playing professional basketball, not into writing. Okay. Right? So that led me into my second book, which got me into a lot of trouble. It's called Cheaters Exposed, but I'm talking about it on both sides. Okay. And again, I'm telling everything at the time, because that's at a time where I was really getting into the community, and I'm like, you know, the feminine aspect of life is being disrespected, you know, females, and we got to start treating them better, and blah, 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 blah. And wrote my second book. That took off. My public speaking career really took off because we were sharing it online, so I would get offers all over the place to speak. And then I went into education. Education is where I saw the single mother factor connected to the educational component, how most of our youth are coming from single parent households. So I wanted to give single mothers the game from a male's perspective. So that's my third book, but my fourth book, The People Reader, that's when I really started going head first into this spiritual, metaphysical journey, to where I was like, oh my God, everything is the mind, everything is energy. Let me change my whole lifestyle around to fit that. Like this wasn't anything I was studying, just to be studying. I literally became it, if that makes sense. So again, I know that's a long intro, but that's my story. Okay, so can we talk about the title? So again, it's a people reader, and the subtitle is How to Discern the Spiritual Energy of Any Person That You Meet. Can you unpack that for us? Okay, so you know you walk into a room and it just doesn't feel right? Some people have that ability, some people don't. But the ones who have that ability, they can read a situation.
Okay. But
there's no people in the room, so you can read an environment. So when there's people in the room, can you feel people staring at you? Yes, because now there's people in the room. But again, what is that feeling that we have?
Okay.
What is that feeling that makes you throw up on stage because you can feel all these people? Because you know how they say stage fright? It's really energy fright.
Right.
You're taking in all that energy. It's like a machine gun and hitman.
Right.
And you're taking that, right? So if everything is energy and we're spiritual beings, you know everybody's saying it now.
Right. We're
spiritual beings having a physical experience.
Sure.
Let me read that person. That person just got out of a Lamborghini. But that's not who he or she is.
Okay.
That person has a mean coat on.
Right.
But that's not who he or she is. So people reading is literally reading the metaphysical energy of of who that person is.
Okay.
That energy that leaves when the funeral happens, right? You know, when you look in the casket, you don't feel anything because nothing's inside.
Right.
That's who we are. So literally, the people reader is more of an introductory book for individuals who are interested in learning about that world and taking the spookiness out of it as best as I could.
Okay. So in demystifying the process and using terms like spirituality and using terms like energy, do you feel as if the average person, maybe the person who may not be very familiar with the concepts of spirituality or energy reading, do you feel as if it's something that everyone has access to?
Yeah. So I'll say like school. They have trigonometry and they have kindergarten.
Okay.
So I feel like information is like that. So which level are you on? So you can't talk about the trigonometry component in the kindergarten class or the first grade class. So literally, you ask people what they believe in, and they'll literally tell you what grade they're in.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So you feel like this analogous then when people have those conversations about spirituality or energy, in that sense?
Yeah, but when kindergartners read that book, I'm going to hell, and the Lord is not looking at me the same way He's looking at them. But I've seen times where I made it to 5th grade, and Jason, I'm so sorry for talking about you like that. I know what you were talking about now.
Okay.
Because again, it's like I couldn't see it back then.
Gotcha.
Or like the Bible says, you don't cast pearls to swine, right? Not calling people that don't get it pigs, but mental swine and mental filet mignon, or if you want to, so to speak.
Okay.
I'm not going to give you the stuff that you can't digest when you're just now knocking on the door of the metaphysical or the world of energy or blah, 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 blah. Because again, it is spooky, but the people who think it's spooky believe in the scripture that says, I don't wrestle against flesh and blood. Or the weapons of my warfare are not carnal. But I don't know about that spiritual stuff. It's like, man, come on, man.
Right. And what initially drew you to it?
Understanding it. So again, reading about it, hearing about it, everybody's spiritual.
Right.
Tell me spiritual work. Well, you gotta pray. And I'm like, well, that's faith. You know what I mean? But the Bible says faith without works is dead.
Right.
If that's your only spiritual work, is faith, prayer. And again, that world is infinite.
Okay.
And you just said one of your weapons was prayer. One of them in the infinite world. So I didn't understand it at a young age, but I understood it, but I didn't understand. I'm a PK, so I grew up in the church, but like that. So the whole political component to religion and stuff like that, I was born into that. So I know that whole, but again, it's good and people need it. It's a school of thought. Like all religions are schools of thought. But when I understood this to where I literally was like, okay, I get it. If I stare in the mirror and smile and start telling myself lies, I know that I'm lying because I can see my metaphysical self, even though I'm smiling.
Right.
So if I have that ability, what if I could look at other people and say, you smiling at me, you want to do what for me? You want to offer me this?
Right.
You're lying though. I can see it. Just like you can see AIDS, right?
Right.
After somebody tells you, right? Girl, don't mess with him. He got AIDS. Now you can see the AIDS. You couldn't see the AIDS until somebody told you, right? That's not the metaphysical world. The metaphysical world is something is up with him or something is up what? And you're always scared of being wrong, but when the truth comes out, it's like, oh, I was right the whole time.
Okay.
That's your metaphysical self or spiritual self trying to come out.
Is it tied to intuition as well?
Absolutely.
Or do you see the, okay, so there.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. So we're going to take a brief break, and as soon as we get back, we'll continue our conversation with author, public speaker, Jason Miller. Hi, I'm Dr. Tyra Seldon. Welcome back to the Right On Show, where my guest is author and public speaker, Mr. Jason Miller. Jason, before the break, you were explaining to our readers what the power of the mind can do and why that's so important for us in terms of understanding human relationships and connections. I want to use a specific quote from your book and ask that you explain it in even greater detail to our readers. On page 17, you write that the mind is everything to the physical and spiritual world. And I know there are probably people who are watching us who would think that it really is the spiritual world or the physical world, but you're saying no, it's the mind. Can you explain that further?
Okay, that's a good question. That's a real good question. Okay, you gotta look at the overall mind, right? And let's chop it down. Let's chop it down into like mom, dad, son, daughter. Let's chop it down into different, the lower categories.
Okay.
And let's just say we're going to even take 3 of your minds, because again, we're talking about an infinite scenario, which is called the mind. So we can't say how many numbers, how many minds you have, but let's just say at least 3, right? Mm-hmm. You have your physical mind right now, your physical reality mind.
Okay.
You have your dream mind, and then you have your spiritual or energy mind, the world of intuitive knowledge and epiphanies, right?
Okay.
It's kind of like, ooh, where'd that come from? Right? So, just to show how different they are, when you wake up in the morning, you tend to forget your dream. How did you forget your dream? Because your mind is transferring over into your physical mind, your daily mind. The thing that needs to be renewed every day. You can lose your mind, you can expand your mind, right? Think about the worst day ever you've ever experienced. It's only going to be around 24 hours? But it sticks with you for the rest of your life. Where does it stick with you? At your elbow? Your shoulder? Your mind. The best day you've ever had in your life. It was about 24 hours, right? Where is it real at? Your mind. How can you get dressed? How can you have a bad day? How can you even drive a car? How can you do anything? How can you write a book? How can you edit without a mind? So literally, I even have some of my students. Shake your hands, stand up, touch your ear. You can do none of that without your mind. Ask brain dead people. Right? So connecting the minds, you take lucid dreaming. Lucid dreaming is nothing more than connecting your physical reality mind to your dream mind, to where you're in your dream and you're like, I'm dreaming. Let an apple appear in my hand, and it does. Now, some people say that's weird, but your dreams can kill you. Your dreams make you sweat. Not trying to be, too graphic, but you can have orgasms in your dream. How can you do all of these physical things when you're only using your mind? Because the mind is everything. So let me play antagonist for a second with this. So there may be people who are watching us who are thinking, oh my gosh, it sounds too new agey. It sounds too, again, you used the word earlier, spooky. What would be your counter narrative for those individuals in terms of helping them understand why this is relevant for them and understanding their role and purpose on this earth? So fire was new age when the first humans started using it. Just because it's new doesn't mean it's not real. Or it's just too new. It's just so new, but it's real, but it's new. So what's wrong with that? That's like saying a car is new age when it comes to transportation. That's new age. Give me that horse. Or airplanes. That's really new age. But if it's truth, shouldn't it just be new truth? And again, new age. What age was spirituality not in existence? So,
Go ahead, no, finish.
No. So basically, the new age stuff, I never understood it because it's only new to people who are just now getting it.
And so hopefully, if people read the book, then there are other opportunities for them to understand and expand their understanding of what this actually means.
Absolutely.
And that leads me to my next question, because one of the things that I think you do a really good job of throughout the book is you look at this notion of spirituality and metaphysics through the lens of various religious belief systems. So you've referenced Christianity several times in our conversation today, but you also look at it in terms of, Hinduism, Buddhism, Islam, and even to a lesser extent agnostic principles of belief. Why was that important for you to take these religions that oftentimes are considered polarizing and actually show where that common denominator is?
Because like you said with your question, it's all in the mind. So just take people, okay, I deal with all religions, right?
Okay.
So just take Christianity, because again, a lot of African Americans are Christians, right? Going back to the mind.
Okay.
I don't want to go to hell.
Right.
Let's just break down hell then.
Okay.
How could you experience hell without a spiritual mind? How could God not create hell, according to the Bible, without his spiritual mind? Or, because some people, why I gotta be a woman? Why I gotta be a man?
Right.
Well, the deity God has to have a spiritual mind. So at the end of the day, any spiritual experience is still tied to the mind, and you have to bring it back to your physical mind to even explain it.
Okay.
So I had a dream. Okay, you have to explain it. I had a spiritual epiphany. Well, you have to explain it. Let me tell you why people don't even listen when it happens right in front of us. We can all watch a fight in here and explain it, and guess what I might say? No, it didn't happen like that.
Okay.
It happened like this. So we even have a problem explaining physical phenomena, let alone spiritual, but again, they're all tied to your mind. So whatever that experience is, you're going to experience it in your mind, you have to explain it to other minds. Now we get into perspective and perception, and I have to listen to you. I did a post the other day. Listening and silence has the same letters in it. So literally being quiet. And they say that over 90% of communication is nonverbal. Right? KRS-One says he does a workshop and he holds up this rock star sign and he tells everybody in the audience, say this without saying it in 3 seconds. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Everybody said rock star, but they didn't say it.
Okay.
And they said, did you hear yourself say that? And they were like, yeah. How? You didn't say it.
Right.
So how can you do something and not do it? How can you understand infinite intelligence, but it's not in any books yet? So it's not cool. Well, congratulations, sir. You're tapping into intuitive knowledge now.
Okay.
There's a lot of books out there for that. And a lot of books out there for that haven't even been written yet, but they're still in existence.
So how do you think some of the principles and concepts that you offer in this book can be used to really address some of the issues we're starting to see locally, nationally, and internationally as it relates to human beings being able to connect with one another?
Okay, if we really analyze our enemies, they're not really our enemies. We're victims of miscommunication. That's all it is. And once it gets to a high enough level of miscommunication, we fight, which is still a verbal miscommunication, right? So people reading intuitively, having that sixth sense, I like to mix it in business. Because again, you want to be in board meetings, marketing pitches, blah, 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 blah. So if Jesus or Buddha was like a corporate in corporate America, nah, this deal doesn't feel right. But the proposal of Jesus or Buddha is awesome. Nah, something don't feel right. Versus the piece of paper looks good. You're suited up, everybody looks good. Versus intuitively, I have no data physically that this makes sense. But it just makes sense that I shouldn't be messing with y'all. Now we live in a world to where that's pseudoscience. But again, if everything is connected to the mind, it's a mind science. Now we're getting into some stuff that you can't put on paper. You can't put all that on paper. That's like some different type of realities. Hold on, you're dealing with energy and spirit, and the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. Yes, these are weapons. But you don't know how to use them. Just like the color blue. You know that's the color blue because somebody taught you that. We're waiting to be taught.
So speaking of the teaching then, if this were applied in a user-friendly, accessible manner for younger people, and thinking again in terms of solutions, are there anecdotal components of this that if young people understood more about metaphysics, more about intuition, right? That it then will position us to basically be proactive in terms of offsetting some of the violence, some of the more negative things that are taking place, and specifically in urban communities and epicenters.
They're better than us. Spirituality is daydreaming and role playing. That's a big component to it. Daydreaming and role playing. You tend to lose that the older you get. Especially daydreaming. You know how many people, adults have lost their dreams? I've always wanted to do this. But I had to do this.
Right.
So the thing that they were created to do, they stopped thinking about it. They stopped even caring about it, giving energy to.
Right.
And they're giving energy to the thing that they have to do. Because that world, you have to see it before anybody sees it.
True.
Right? You have to believe it before anybody believes it. You have to get your first client. You have to get your second client.
Right.
And people might even believe you, and you 300 clients in.
Right.
5,000 clients in. People still don't believe you. But then that's a personal problem, because why are you focusing on the people that don't believe you when 5,000 people did? Or 300 people did? So literally, it just tells you who to be connected with. This is a huge earth, and some people we shouldn't even be talking to.
Okay.
Literally. But some people, nope, kumbaya, everybody needs to get along.
Right.
If you look at natural law of duality, there were some people that were born for you to be friends, and then there were some people born for you guys to be, I'm not gonna say enemies, but not see the world the same.
Okay.
Right? So if we understand that, we know for a fact that there's people born not to ever support anything we're doing. And these people could be in our families.
Okay. Can you peel back the layers on that a little bit? Because oftentimes we're taught that, if someone comes into our lives, that it was meant to be, the whole reason, season,
Absolutely.
lifetime. But if I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying we need to rethink that, because there may be some people that we're not supposed to partner with, not supposed to connect to, and if we tie this back to the other books that you've written, we're not supposed to date or even marry. So can you talk about that a little bit more?
Absolutely. And I'll just give biblical terms as well, because again, people just like to hear biblical terms. In the Bible, it says we unawarely entertain angels. Okay. This is a fact. We unawarely entertain angels. Okay. But then, I'm like, what angels? And this ain't good or bad angels. This just said we unawarely entertain angels. Okay. Well, that same book says Lucifer was an angel, and he brought a lot of angels that believed like him with him. Okay. So we unawarely entertain angels. What if you entertaining a bad one that looks good? What do you mean, Jason? Well, Lucifer was the prettiest one. Right. According to the Bible, again. But again, we entertain deities, spiritual beings having physical experiences. So we'll just call that everybody's angels if we're looking at it like that. Who's to say everybody's good? In the kumbaya world, yeah. Everybody treat. If you're in a room full of devils, yeah, you be an angel. But what if the devils are breaking in your house? You still be an angel, or do you conform to your situation? Right? So if we're entertaining people without reading them, and what we see, so the people reader you gotta see. And the best way a lot of our older adults have taught us to see is hindsight. Hindsight means you experience all of this, and now you're like, hey, don't go on that road. Right. Intuitive knowledge says, I'm not going in that room, and I can't even explain why, but I'm just not going to go in there. Or I'm going to wait until somebody else go in that room, and then that person who says don't go in that room is confirmation of your intuitive ability getting stronger. So if you dismiss that phenomenon, guess what happens when you dismiss the weight room? You get weaker. Right. So if you had a spiritual happening and you dismiss it as a coincidence or a miracle, congratulations, you're not going to be able to do it you're not going to be able to do it that good again, because you're dismissing your ability. Okay. Yeah. Excellent.
We're going to take a quick break, and as soon as we get back, we'll continue our conversation with Jason Miller. Hi, I'm Dr. Tyra Seldon, and welcome back to The Right On Show. Today, my guest is Jason Miller, and we're talking about his book, The People Reader. Jason, I want to talk to you specifically about one of the chapters in your book that really stood out to me. And that's chapter 6, which is titled, Master Your Feelings and You Will Master Human Energy. And one of the reasons why that stood out for me is because we tend to, especially women, right? I'm going to stereotype here for a minute. We tend to be quantified as being very emotional beings. And I've always made the argument that you should never allow your emotions to usurp your intellect. And one of the critical things that you bring out in this chapter is that it's not just about intellect, but it's also about energy. Talk to us a little bit about why you think feelings sometimes become the stopgap that prevent people from moving forward or elevating even higher.
It controls everything. No. Because I was about to generalize.
Okay.
No. To the people that I'm talking about, it controls everything that they do.
Okay.
Because you can master your feelings too. Have you ever went somewhere and you got used to it and you were ready to leave?
Sure, yeah.
And it was one of the best experiences in the world, but you got to the point where you got used to it. So you don't leave the place in the very beginning because you're not used to it. Feelings is a place. Feelings is a scenario. It's an environment. It's a happening. It's a phenomenon that you will never get used to.
Okay.
Let me explain. You're mastering your feelings on level 1. Feelings on level 2 is a lot stronger. You're a Buddha, you're a guru, you're a pastor, you're an imam. Okay, you're just dealing with higher feelings.
Okay.
So feelings is like a duality that grows with you.
Okay.
So you get stronger, feelings get stronger. Because again, temptations are tied to your feelings. Your upswing is tied to your feelings. You just won $1 million, yeah, you feel like going to the gym. But you made $1 million every day for 200 years, are you still motivated to go to the gym? Or you might not feel like it. I date you because let me tell you how dirty feelings are. Feelings made Ike and Tina Turner get married. Feelings made them get a divorce too.
Okay.
Every serial killer that has killed someone felt like it. The people that got into the van felt like it. You see how feelings make you do stuff, feelings set you up?
Okay.
And then when you get into the van, feelings go like this. Now I'm going to make you feel terror. You see how feelings can dominate every part of your life?
Okay.
You feel happy, you feel sad. You feel terror, but you feel like doing it.
Right.
You feel scared, you feel courageous. When do you master feelings?
Can you?
Yes, it's a 300-pound sumo wrestler that's on your back.
Okay.
That's one feeling. That's the feeling where I don't want to go to the gym. Or I don't want to work out. So now you have to build a habit of winning that particular scenario, right? So you got a 400-pound sumo wrestler, metaphysical energy sumo wrestler on your back.
Okay.
And you go to the gym and you do it.
Okay.
You just fought your feelings.
Okay.
Now the sumo wrestler is not 400 pounds no more. Because you just beat him. He's 300 pounds now. Beat the sumo wrestler. And you do it again. So you had to work out getting to the gym, but you had to work out at the gym.
Okay.
But you beat it and you made it. Now the sumo wrestler, the spiritual sumo wrestler is about 200 or 150 pounds. You see where I'm going?
Right.
But when you go to a higher level, you go through the same sumo wrestler experience. Same thing with everything.
Okay.
Feelings is something that's going to make you, it's going to retract or it's going to push. But at the end of the day, it's the opposite of what you should be doing. So it's your constant tester of, do you really want that? You asked for it, you attracted it,
right.
You see if you really want it.
Okay.
You feel what I'm saying? So again, it's the feeling, it's the mastering, beating up your feelings every day. So now it's like you're in a habit. I don't feel like doing this, but I know I got to do it. So the knowing actually trumps the feelings.
Okay.
Right? Sometimes you feel scared with a scary movie. But your knowledge raised, and you laugh at that movie that you used to be scared of.
Right.
Because again, knowing trumps everything. So even your feelings, when you know, like Oprah, when you know better, you do better.
Right.
When you know better, you feel differently as well.
Okay, so let's talk about real world application of this, because obviously, again, a lot of your previous books have been about relationships. So as it relates to human beings being able to be in relationships, not just romantic, not just physical, but also business relationships, communal relationships, what then is the role of feelings?
I'm not feeling the way you talking to me. Oh, I love the way you make me feel. So now you make me feel bad one day. I don't like the way you make me feel. So it's still like a checks and balances that you got to keep even more in a business relationship, because regular relationships, that's the fakest relationship.
Okay.
You know why?
Why?
It's more on words, less actions. I told you I was going to email you at 3 o'clock. I'm so sorry, baby. You look so cute. Blah, blah. In business, I told you I was going to email you that at 3. Can somebody sweet talk you out of being angry or frustrated with that late email?
No.
But in a relationship, you can get away with it. You see, and again, relationships are built on behavior. So business is, if your behavior's here, I'll stay with you here. And then we're doing business for years because everybody's keeping their behavior in check. But again, regular relationships, you get away with the stuff that you can't get away with in business, because again, I can talk and I can use my words. You can only go so far in business. So when I give advice about relationships, I always say do a project with that person you date.
Okay.
Just do a project with them. I promise you'll learn so much about them just by doing a project with them versus going out on a date.
So why though? What does a project enable one to see that a date or a movie or a trip or vacation doesn't?
Doing projects is real doing.
Okay.
Me and you have a project and there's 40 steps in there, and it's business. So we're going to be dealing with other people,
right,
and dealing with us. Those are real movements.
Right.
Come on, at a date, come on, I can lie the whole time. Yeah, I used to do construction back in '79. Yeah, you can lie the whole time.
Right.
You can be on your best behavior the whole time.
Right.
But if me and you were doing a project and somebody goes off on me in the meeting, if this meekness is not in me, you're going to see the rage. And you're like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, I might see that one morning. Right? So business, you can't fake it. And if you can, you can't fake it that long. Okay.
So do you think then, like, literally, because I can imagine, like, even a reality show where people have to do projects together, couples, to determine if they should actually get married. So with that, do you think that would help to improve the ways in which men and women communicate with one another, the ways in which we're able to build legacy and families together?
To me, your partner should be your business partner too. Okay. It's not your partner has so many titles that can be added to it, right? Yes. Okay. Because again, you look at the corporate world, the boss and the secretary. They always end up having a relationship, right? There's something about the workplace that's this crazy high sexual energy. Okay. Anybody that says it's not true, well, you can say that's not true. In some environments, you're like, oh, I hope y'all not sexual in here. This is a rough looking environment, right? But I'm talking about in the corporate world, we know sexual tension is high because again, we had a goal, we accomplished our goal, and we're celebrating. Okay. That's what true business is. You have a goal, right? Everybody do what they need to do, celebrate that success, do it again. Okay. So you're going through all the different human emotions with a person. Highs, lows. Right. We didn't get the contract, but we stuck with it and we got another contract. But again, you get to see a person like this, and then you get to see a person at the finish line versus, hey, how you doing? I'm on my best behavior all the time I'm around you. My cell phone rings when I need it to ring, and I tell you everything that you want to hear. Everything that you tell me, I'm going to have a dope response. Right. I'm going to make you feel, remember that feeling word, I'm going to make you feel like $1 million. Okay. You're not testing me. You're not seeing me in any environment. I control everything in a relationship. Okay. But in business, you got to give up that control. Right. You get to see.
So as the father of 2 daughters, how would you explain this to them when it's time for them to start dating?
I put them in it now.
Okay.
So I'm literally planting seeds that they have no idea what I'm planting. So it's like growing up in the hood, right? Everybody said, because when it comes from with the bad stuff, it seems like kids can just get it. He grew up in the hood, that's why he like that. Just because you grew up in the hood don't mean you understand the deepest components of hood scenarios.
Okay.
But the subconscious seeds that are planted, you will eventually one day.
Okay.
It's like seeing a really challenging movie, and then you watch it again 10 years later, and you're like, oh, that's what it meant.
Right.
That's what I do on the good side too. It's like you teach these youth at an earlier age, so consciously they're like, I don't understand what you're doing. But it's like they've seen it, they've been around it. My daughter has been in very, very high power meetings.
Okay.
Like this.
And she's 4, right? So okay, so she's
Like,
4.
I don't care nothing about this. But she has to see it.
Right.
And the way your brain works, you have to comprehend what you see.
Right.
So even if your face is like this, doesn't mean you're not comprehending it. So the older she gets, when she sees it, and then when I'm giving her these little lessons, it's just like watching that movie. Oh, I get it. Oh, I get it. Oh, I get it. Then you start talking about parts of the movie where nobody's looking. Like, look. There's some paint chipped over in the corner right there. You don't watch it like that when you first watch a movie.
Right.
So people are movies. So you watch them over and over and over again, you start seeing the chipped paint.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how do you think that will position her and other young people who are exposed to this at an early age to engage in healthier relationships with other people?
It allows parents to sleep better at night.
Okay.
You can't make nobody do anything, so you literally, if I told you how hot that stove is, we did a whole tutorial on how hot that stove is.
Right.
I showed you pictures of people burning their hand. I actually burned my hand in front of you just to show you, and then I'll let you touch my hand and see how hot it is. You burn your hand on that stove, you wanted that. I have nothing to do with your wants. I'm going to bed.
Okay.
And a lot of parents aren't sleeping, especially mothers. They're not sleeping really good at night because it's not that they're not good mothers. They're working 2 or 3 jobs just to put food on the table. So they can't really give that spiritual I'm tired. So the only spiritual world I'm going to is the dream spiritual world.
Right.
Because again, that meditative, fully refreshed, energetic woman, yeah, she comes out sometimes, but Monday through Friday. So again, this actually alleviates slumber as well.
Okay.
When you get that light bulb, nobody goes to sleep after the light bulb.
Okay.
Name one person that's like, oh,
All right.
let me go get some sleep.
All right.
So that even controls your human energy. The spiritual world actually controls your human energy as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for the person who may be watching this, that mother who's watching this and says, oh, I love what he's saying. This definitely will be helpful for my child. But, right, how do you deal with pushback pertaining to some of the concepts, scenarios, and theories that you offer in this book?
The but is the parents not not trusting destiny, right? I have some moms that say, all right, I'm gonna have my son come to your workshop, but he don't know you, I know you. So he gonna have a mad face, he gonna be mad at me, and so the but is the mom that's like, I can't, Joey might be mad at me, so what?
Okay.
So what? How many times did you not want to go somewhere and it end up being the best day of your life?
Exactly.
We go through it as humans, but you're saying a youth that don't know what you know is saying, Mommy or Dad, I don't want to go to this. That's what they're supposed to say.
Right.
And 9 times out of 10, that's confirmation that they really need to go. Because the places that they want to go, is that really helping their life out?
Chances are not. Yeah.
A lot of people that got killed wanted to go there.
That's true. Okay.
So the but is, because I've heard some parents, I'm the only mentor my daughter needs. And I'm like, okay, sounds very controlling. But in the real world, humans are here to help you learn. Even the bad situations and the good situations, humans are here to help you learn. So if there's a human who's been taking pictures and posting pictures for years, parents letting their sons and daughters learn from this person, then it's like, let's analyze the parents. Oh, these parents have really, really good careers.
Okay.
They don't trust nobody with their kids.
Right.
And they're still dropping their kids off at this. It might be on to something, but again, it's scary. That's and again, you're losing your heroism.
Right.
My daughter looks up to me. I'm not gonna let another man come in there and steal that away.
Okay.
Then congratulations, you didn't raise your daughter the right way. Because if you didn't raise your daughter or your son to learn from other people and to make the family better, then you are showing some chips in your paint. Your parenting paint.
And that may be a hard pill for some people to swallow, but it's a conversation worth having nonetheless.
Absolutely.
Good. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll continue with Jason Miller. Hi, this is Dr. Tyra Seldon, and welcome back to the Right On Show, where my guest is Jason Miller, author and public speaker. So, Jason, before the break, we were talking in great detail about some of the advice that you give to your mentees and to some of the parents of the young people that you work with. One of the other things that you do is you go to various college campuses and you speak on those college campuses. How has your message and some of the topics that you espouse, how have they been received?
IU was, I'll give IU, Indiana University.
Okay.
We did a relationship panel. I mean, I did a relationship lecture, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Relationship lecture. And you could hear a pin drop. I always remember that. I was like, they really are paying attention. I'm speaking, but I'm like, they are really paying attention. I even have pictures. I'm gonna send it to you.
Okay.
It's all different races. So it's blacks, Hispanics, whites, like all different races, Indian, and they were all just paying attention. Now the boys was up at the top taking notes. So there was some players up in there. There was some players in there.
What's he talking about?
Yeah,
Giving away, right?
We're gonna do the complete opposite of everything you say.
Right.
So we were connected. I was like, everybody was listening. So I don't want to say too much too early, but we got some big things going on at Ball State as well.
Okay.
The college camp, it's just they haven't been scarred. You know how Frederick Douglass says, easy to repair children than it is a broken man. All they want to do is live their dreams.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't know everything. Yeah, they're looking at it really, really, really optimistic, like I'm about to tackle the world. But that energy is so fun to be around versus the, you know, some workshops and public speaking events. They're like, why did you come? Why did you come? You have an attitude, and you shouldn't cave. But if you're really into your craft, you should have the ability to change that into. And then that means taking the ego out of it. Because some people, they tie the ego into it and they have to speak like this. And I feel like I'll never have a problem with public speaking.
Okay.
Because I want to be 100% real and I want everybody in that room to walk away with something to where they can literally apply it right then and there.
Okay.
So I used to be into that, you know, it has to be this way and I have to look at, I'm just public speaking on areas that I feel like I'm well versed in.
Okay.
And the college experience is the most fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
So generationally, so we had millennials, Generation X, and then baby boomers. So we're to think of those as kind of the, you know, primary generations right now that probably tune in and watch this show. What do you say is the difference between how one generation receives your messages and another one?
That's funny. You're going to get me in trouble, but I'm going to be real on this one.
Okay.
I first started public speaking at 21. Radio, panels. So I'm talking to people who are 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years old.
Okay.
60. My first 60-year-old, it was like, this book changed my life.
Okay.
I was like, am I supposed to say yes, ma'am, like during this? Or like, it was just weird, right? All the way down to the millennials, or even the youth, 8, 10-year-olds that are taking notes. And I'm like, man. So the older generation would always say, it was really cute to them. So like when my daughter said something that is genius, instead of being like, man, and just really, we're kind of disrespectful, like, oh, how you know that? Oh, that's cute. So I would get a lot of that, that's cute stuff. Right. But I'm like, no, you're going through that, ma'am. And it's like they can't hear you. It's like, oh, boo, 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 boo. And it's like, no, I'm trying to, I'm trying to talk about music, right? You know how we talk about the CD player talking to the iPod? What if the CD player was like, oh, that's cute. You trying to play music, iPod? And the iPod's like, nah, I do this. It's just a newer form of it. Oh, that's cute. So I would get a lot of that. So it really wasn't a lot of the support. It would be like, yeah, I'll buy your book and use it for a coaster. Absolutely. And the youth would, I read her a whole book. I've never read a book.
Okay.
Tell me more. So then I'm doing workshops and they're in there like, so I'm literally looking up to all these adults. I'm like, help me out, give me a chance, right? And they're like, oh, that's cute.
Right.
That's so cute. Yeah, we'll put you on this and we'll put you on that. That's cute. And then one day I was like, so I'm looking up to all these adults asking for help. Let me just look down one day.
Okay.
There's millions of me's looking up saying, help us get in.
Okay.
And I'm like, forget y'all. This is where it's at. But again, Michael Jordan did the same thing. People above him didn't buy Jordans. It was the youth that made him rich.
Right.
Michael Jackson didn't sell stuff to my grandparents. It was the younger people that made Michael Jackson rich.
Right.
So I literally was like, oh man, I need to create a program for all of these knocks, because there was so many of them knocking. But then the older people who I was trying to get help from, they were looking for older acceptance. Right. It was like a never-ending, pattern. So again, when my mentor dies, I'm talking about the older generation. Sure. And not all of them, because again, somebody can get hurt from this. Right. I'm not talking about the ones who this doesn't apply to. But they would literally be like, oh my God, I have nobody to look up to. And I'm like, congratulations, start looking down. So when I look down, I never look back, really. Okay. But now that makes the older people that I knocked on the door say, now what was you wanting again? Because again, you're taking away that energy of I don't need you.
Right.
And it makes people want you.
Right, right. So what would you say then is the role or responsibility of someone like yourself, who's a public figure, community leader, obviously an author, in preparing the next generation to take that torch and to continue that legacy?
And I feel like I learned at an earlier age, but if I could have learned a little bit earlier, stop caring what people think.
Okay.
What if Stevie Wonder was like, I wonder what Dr. Seldon's going to say about this album? If he even thinks like that, he's taken away from his creativity of that album that's going to make you spend your money to go get it. So caring what people think actually chops away at your greatness. And you're putting their greatness on your greatness. Right. It's not going to be real.
Right. So there's an element of authenticity that's derived from someone living their most, their truest life, whatever that is. And it may not look like anyone else's. And I think that's something that's often lost with young people, especially in this day and age of social media and one-upmanship and trying to keep up with the Joneses. And to hear you say that, I think is incredibly important, because not only are there young people watching, but there are young people who might find themselves in positions where they know they have untapped leadership potential, but they're not doing anything with it because it may not be cool to be a leader, it may not be cool.
Nobody's doing it. I'm the only one being me. Congratulations.
Right. Right.
Congratulations.
Absolutely. And I think we need to talk more about that as members of, this community nationally and even internationally, because there are young people out there who are lost and they're looking for guidance and they're looking for people that they can emulate, who are saying, I'm going to march to the beat of my own drummer, even if no one else is following me, because in due time, everything is going to fall right back into place for them. So thank you for bringing that point up. I want to talk about another chapter in your book, and this chapter is called A Spiritual Diet. And when I first read your book, I remember thinking, this is interesting, because we use the term diet a lot in our society. People are constantly on diets. They're, doing low carbs or gluten-free or, paleo diets, and it's just thrown around a lot. But what this chapter really speaks to is the importance of being very aware of what and how we take in food spiritually. And one of the things that stood out at the time, and even stands out even more so now, is the importance of a physical food as a part of our spiritual understanding, spiritual elevation journey. And so you make a point that natural raw fruit and vegetables actually create a level of understanding, refinement, create greater levels of energy, because ultimately by releasing or not consuming, meat or the flesh of an animal, it gives people greater insight and clarity. Now, that's something that a lot of us, and when I say us, members of the African American community in particular, would say, oh no, I'm not giving up my swine, not giving up my pork, not giving up my beef, not giving up my chicken, not giving up my shrimp, and the list goes on and on and on. Well, recently I've entered into this stage of trying a vegetarian lifestyle.
Oh, yeah?
Right? Yeah. So this is new. No one knows this yet. I'm telling everybody for the first time. Thank you. And it truly is an exercise in discipline, probably more than anything. But I have literally, in a short time that I have engaged in this lifestyle, recognized a drastic difference in my creativity, in my energy levels, in my ability to really tune in on what's going on. I feel like my intuition has been elevated significantly. So can we talk a little bit about the connection and correlation between food and spirituality?
Absolutely. What even motivated me to write that is there's people in this industry that make me look like a kindergartner.
Okay.
But again, it's infinite knowledge.
Sure.
So that kindergartner level could still be above normal, right?
Sure.
When you eat naturally raw fruits and vegetables, and Dr. Phil Valentine, Dr. Sebi, it's so many people that I've studied, but Dr. Phil Valentine was talking about the DNA codes in naturally raw fruits and vegetables. They're DNA codes. And we all know we have DNA codes.
Right.
When you eat that, your DNA codes are communicating with the food that you're eating. And you know how they say you are what you eat? Right. You're becoming what you're eating. So you're becoming the information or the DNA codes that are in that raw fruit and vegetables, right? Now, you ready to get weird?
Let's go there.
Okay. Plants, what do they hang out in?
The soil.
Soil. What is the human body mostly made of?
Water.
And soil. Right? We turn into dust, our soil when we're done, right? And the human in the world is mostly made of water as well. When we're mostly made of water. Trees help us breathe. We've been breathing since we've been alive thanks to trees. Trees hang out in soil. So it's literally like a cycle that we're a part of. So when we eat according to the cycle, we're communicating with nature, right? And again, I had some Christians be like, now you getting weird. You're talking about we communicating with nature and stuff like that. Nah, now you being weird. I'm like, okay, you ready? You ready for this working? Okay. Well, according to your Bible, that happened to Adam and Eve. They didn't have some knowledge until they bit down on something that was connected to the soil, which was connected to a tree. They bit down on it. Their DNA codes connected with the DNA codes that was in that fruit. And they knew they were naked, according to the Bible. So according to the Bible, God hides information in raw fruits and vegetables. Or that was just the only time that's ever happened. Right? You can look at it so many. I'm not saying that's the end all be all. But at the end of the day, for the people who think that's spooky, the story of Adam and Eve shows that you bit down on fruits and vegetables or whatever, and you got additional information. If you bite down on beef that's been killed horribly, you're getting protein, but where did the beef get the protein? Right. And again, I'm still suffering from this right now with chicken and fish. Still trying to get to the point where I can get rid of it. Right. But at the end of the day, at least I'm picking something, a fish brain and a bird brain. Let's keep it all honest. A bird brain versus the cow and the way they die. And again, I'm not saying the way, because I know some nutritionists right now that will be going crazy right now on me right now. But they understand. That's usually the natural way of leaving. You get rid of the pork, the beef, chicken and fish. And then you get to a point where that's done too. Then you get to the point where you're only doing naturally raw fruits and vegetables. And again, now you're living like nature. You're eating foods that you're never going to be like, oh my God, I ate too many carrots.
Right.
I'm going to get fat tonight.
Right.
There's no fat in it to where it's like it's going to affect you like that. So the bad part about that is you have to go shopping again because all your clothes are not going to fit the same.
Right.
That's another scary part about it. But you age better. You're more intuitive.
Right.
Because you're eating foods who have DNA, DNA codes that are connected to the earth. Well, last time I checked, there's no soil on this planet that you can't pick up, put under a microscope, and not see life. This whole thing is alive.
Right.
So you're eating the things, you're eating the substances that are living in something that's living called soil. Right?
Okay.
So when you eat that, you're communicating with mama.
Right.
We're all on mama. She's a living organism. So again, now you start getting into the intuitive knowledge. Then you get into let me meditate in nature. So if I'm eating nature and I am nature, let me start chilling in nature, because again, when you hang out anywhere, you hang out in the mind of the architect.
Right.
Like this room, we're hanging out in the mind of the architect. In nature, you're hanging out in the mind of the architect. So you eat nature, spend time with nature. Your mind is impossible for it not to be intuitively more compatible to everything, really. Everything. Now, I say on a high level, you're going to be Buddha or anybody, but you'll be closer to that Christ consciousness, that enlightenment, versus, because you still got to meditate, you still got to read. You know what I mean? You can't just be like, I'm just going to eat carrots all day and I'm going to get my Ph.D. But it's good. It expedites the process.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, because one of the things that we try to do on the Right On Show is provide our guests with an opportunity to change the narrative. And there's so many misnomers about food and healthy eating, specifically in the African American community. So to be able to have a conversation about the spiritual connection between what we eat, how we feel, and our levels of elevation, I think is critically important. Well, we're getting close to the end of our time together, and I definitely want to give you a chance to share with our viewers what's the best way for them to connect with you, stay in touch, all that good stuff.
I say the best way is to check out the website,
which is
www.impactphase.com. IMPACT phase PHASE.org, not .com, .org. I'm sorry.
Okay.
.org. Yeah.
Social media, can they follow you? And if so, what are you on?
You can do the Instagram, you can do the Facebook, and the LinkedIn, just Jason Miller.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
Jason
great.
Miller.
And one of the questions I ask all of my guests, because I think it's important for those people who are watching this to understand that at every moment in our lives, someone has planted a seed in us, right? We are the manifestation of seeds that other people have planted. We are standing on the shoulders and the backs of people who have gone before us. So my question for you is, what is some of the greatest advice you've ever received?
I'm not going to be biased. I'll say it's what I teach my workshops on.
Okay.
So I'll give you one of them, and mentalism is one of them.
Okay.
But it's literally a mental toolbox to where you can just say your worst day, right? You know how you go home and debrief?
Right.
And sometimes it's like, I gotta sleep this day off. Or it's the best day.
Right.
And you might sleep in because you're still, that best day made you weaker.
Right.
That bad day made you weaker. But this mental toolbox that I got, it automatically helps you to always go back to square one.
Okay.
Square one is I'm ready to do this. You can always go back to square one. So I'll say the mind, but there's still some other components, because you can't just like the mind.
Right.
You get it? But the mind, understanding the mind, meditating on the mind, and just focusing, giving all my energy to the mind, understanding the mind, helped the physical, anything physical I was doing, helped it out like tremendously.
Okay.
Because I wasn't focused on the physical, I focused on the mental that makes the physical exist.
Okay, excellent. Well, Jason Miller, it's been my absolute pleasure having you here, exploring some relatively complex subjects, but presenting them in a way that I think are going to be accessible and digestible for our viewers. So again, I thank you for that.
Having me.
Of course. So for everyone who's watching, until we meet again, continue to write on. I'm Dr. Tyra Seldon.